Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk through the teaching structures at Oxford University. So the contact hours I have as a languages student, from lectures to tutorials, and I'm going to explain the sort of things I do in each of my different classes. So I'll talk you through what I do as a French and Spanish student. So obviously this can't apply to all subjects, but I hope that you sort of get an idea of what it's like to study here and the sort of interactions you have with academics. So before we start, again, I'd like to ask for you to like, subscribe and comment if you feel like it. It would be really helpful, so thank you. So let's start with the lectures. Now, these are sort of the biggest class size, if you want to call them that you have at university, at all universities, I think. And essentially, it is a professor or a lecturer speaking for up to an hour. It can be less, and it can sometimes be slightly more, about a specific topic or a specific book or a specific collection of poems, maybe. Essentially, the idea is that you use what they are talking about to enhance your work. So as a languages student, I will have lectures on context, I will have lectures on narrative voice or narration by itself or voice by itself. I'll have lectures specifically on certain poems, and I'll have lectures specifically on writing commentaries for certain types of writing. And in my opinion, they can be very helpful and very interesting at times. But unfortunately, you also get the ones where they're not quite as interesting or as useful as you would hope for, and they don't give you much more information than you already have by reading a book, sort of thing. So yeah, I tend to have between 2 and 3 per week for French, and then 1 or 2 for Spanish. So that takes up not too much of my time, but it's sort of an hour a day is the way I'd look at it, really. Last term, lectures for me were all online. So we had a lot that were pre-recorded that we accessed via an online platform that the university uses. So we could watch those whenever we wanted, really. And that wasn't great for me because I found myself working a lot on my assignments and sort of skipped a few lectures, which probably wasn't great because I really could have used them in the later part of the term, especially. And we had a couple of live stream ones for which we had to be online at the time that they were being given. And this term, things are a little bit different. The majority are, again, pre-recorded. So I've gotten through a few today, actually, on the ballads in the golden age of Spanish literature. And but towards the end of term, we will hopefully have some in-person ones. So we actually go into a lecture hall to watch them for French. So I'm quite looking forward to that, although it does mean walking about 15-20 minutes to get to where they're being held. But that's okay because it'll be a nice experience to have them in person. Lots of my friends have had them in person, but as a French and Spanish student, I haven't, unfortunately. I think it's worth noting that before this term, in preparation for this term, I did watch some of the pre-recorded lectures online before getting to Oxford, so that my workload was slightly diminished, very slightly reduced for when I got here. Because, as I said, last term I found it quite hard to get it all in. I definitely recommend doing this if you find yourself in a similar situation and you can access them at home, because it just takes the load off things. Even if it's just an hour a week, it can be really, really helpful to just get it done first. And it's much easier to concentrate on a lecture if you're not trying to rush through it because you haven't left yourself enough time to properly watch it. So I would recommend doing that. So now I'm going to move on to seminars or sort of classes. And these are the sort of things that I would consider between 4 and maybe 6, 7 people, sometimes 8. And these vary in the subject matter that they tackle. So in French, I have a literature seminar once a fortnight in which we discuss the book that we are going to write a commentary for the next week. I have grammar and translation classes of this size as well for French. They're online at the moment. So the whole of the Worcester cohort of French students is in those classes, and we work on grammar exercises that we've done in preparation for the class, as well as looking at new topics for the coming week. In Spanish, I have centralized oral and grammar and translation classes. So we have to go outside of college for those because Worcester doesn't have any Spanish tutors. So we go to a building owned by the university, about a 5-minute walk away, and we do similar things there, but in person. Again, oral classes, grammar and translation. We also, interestingly, do those with people from other colleges, I guess because they need to make classes big enough for them to be worth running. I do know that in some other universities, seminars or classes can be around 15 people in number. I'm not too sure though. But in Oxford, I think they tend to be about 6, 7, 8. So yeah. Now going on to the last set of contact hours that I have, which are tutorials. And Oxford and Cambridge are sort of famous for having this sort of teaching system. They are a 1-on-1, a 2-on-1, or a 3-in-1 format between students and teachers, let's call them, professors, whatever. And these are much more targeted towards the work that has been done prior to the tutorial. So in French, I have one a fortnight for literature. And in these, one of the people in the tutorial will read out the piece of work that they have done for that tutorial. And then discussion will ensue after that, talking about the content of the commentary that has been read out, or the essay that has been read out, as well as then expanding off of that, which is I quite enjoy. In French, we also have oral classes that are technically tutorial size, but we don't call them tutorials. So not many people, and we will have a piece of writing to read beforehand in preparation that we then discuss orally in the class in French, obviously, which in my opinion is the most fun part of language. I love speaking, and it's what I really look forward to every week. On the Spanish side, I have a tutorial once a week for the literature, and in this, we don't read out the essays and the commentaries that we write, but we will receive questions based on what we have written in our commentary and based on the work we have prepared for that week to discuss in the tutorial. So it is a full hour of discussing a play, a novel, a poem, which sometimes can be quite stressful, especially seeing as it goes on for quite a while. But if you're feeling snappy and you're feeling on it, then it can be really, really rewarding, I find. In these Spanish tutorials, we do as well do presentations every now and then. So on one week, we may prepare a commentary for the tutorial. Another week, we may prepare an essay. And on another week, we may prepare a presentation, which is essentially just a commentary or an essay, but spoken aloud to the class. So while we're not reading out our commentaries and our essays, we are sometimes proposing our own ideas directly to the group, not in the format of a Q&A, which I do quite enjoy as well, as it takes a bit less effort than writing a full commentary or an essay, because you can sort of interact a bit more with the people sitting there. Overall, I quite enjoy the way that we're taught here in Oxford. I really get on well with the tutorial system. I know some people don't like it at all, and in fact, I know a person who decided not to apply to Oxford or Cambridge for that very reason. So yeah, it's not for everyone, but I think you can definitely learn to like it, and I really have done from the start. I'm going to put up a sort of a breakdown of how my week is split up between lectures, seminars, and tutorials, so that you can get an idea of how much a languages student, or a French and Spanish student anyway, is in contact with academics. So I hope that's helpful. I hope you found this whole video helpful. And again, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next week. Stay tuned.